So, this one's gonna be again, and I don't know if this is gonna be, no, it's not gonna be the last one. I don't think so. But we're gonna go ahead again with Hackers and Painters by Paul Graham. And yeah, there's always gonna be more after the intro, so stay tuned. Tuned as something. I don't know. But yeah, with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm really fucking happy to be here. And I'm really fucking happy to record this episode. Might even be like the biggest thing and the best thing that I'm gonna do today. Besides the workout, maybe, hopefully. Well, more hopefully than maybe. Because I don't know. In the past few... Well, this is something that I'm gonna talk about in the 4-hour body summary, I guess. So, I think we're just gonna go ahead. I do hope that the audio is fine. You can see in the background a blanket, which is normally always just besides me in something, but because there's so much shit on my fucking desk, I thought like, well, do I really need it? But I think I need it. Or do I have something? No, I'm gonna get it. And now it is here. And I don't know if this is just changing anything. I kind of feel like it does. I don't know why, but I think it kind of does. Even though I could also just be utilizing this piece here as well. In some sort of this way, I guess. Should be fine. Well, anyway, let's go ahead. A society in which people can do and say what they want will also tend to be one in which the most efficient solution wins, rather than those supported by the most influential people. Well, I think... I don't really know, but what I clearly know is that, yes, there is a lot of stuff that is sponsored because it is influenced by, or it is done by influential people, I guess. Yeah, quite. But I don't know if it is actually then going to be the case, since it's very democratic. It is really like, okay, we're going to vote. What's the best option? What is the best possibility? What is the best thing we can do in this and that situation? So I really don't think that it would work out, some sort of. Well, yeah. A startup is a small company that takes on hard technical problems. A hard technical problem. As he says, like, I don't actually know, because, I'm not having a startup. I'm not a startup dude. But yeah. I think so, But I do actually wonder, startup, what the definition of startup is. Startup. Let's see the Wikipedia thing. A startup or startup, there are several ways how to write it, or at least two they say, is a company or project initiated by an entrepreneur to seek effectively develop and validate a scalable business model. While entrepreneurship refers to all new businesses, including self-employment and businesses that never intends to grow big or become registered, startups refer to the new businesses that intend to grow large beyond the solo founder. Startups face high uncertainty and have high rates of failure, but a minority of them do go on to be successful and influential. Some startups become unicorns. For example, privately held startup companies valued at over, or which is a privately held startup company valued at over $1 billion. I do wonder why they are called unicorns and who came up with this. Because I don't know, I really don't know. Well, yeah, let's see. There is not a fixed amount of wealth in the world. You can make more wealth. Wealth has been getting created and destroyed, but on balance created for all human history. Suppose you own a beat-up old car. Instead of sitting on your butt next summer, you could spend the time restoring your car to pristine, whatever, condition. In doing so, you create wealth. The world is, and you especially are, one pristine old car the richer. And not just in some metaphorical way. If you sell your car, you'll get more for it. In restoring your old car, you have made yourself richer. You haven't made anyone else poorer. So there's obviously not a fixed pie. And I actually have to say, it is a pretty cool thing that you can make yourself richer by not doing any harm to anyone. This is cool. I really, really love that. I really love that. And, this is, by the way, also something that I would like to do if I would be having a company, then the thing is, we all can start an apparel company. It's not necessarily going to work out. I would also argue that it's for, I don't know, to 80% it's not going to work out. It still depends on your creativity and on your thoughts and your ideas and all those things. But with the whole print-on-demand stuff that you can do, and therefore also having an apparel, and I've also tried it out and I've also done it, and it is obviously some work. And if I would be putting in as much work as I put into the podcast and all the other stuff that I'm doing, then maybe it could work out quite fine. Of course, there must be then some capital as well, I guess, for advertising purposes and whatnot. But there's so many different brands, and there's so huge brands in the whole clothing industry. I do think, though, if you're having a startup that is actually doing something new, something new, maybe in terms of creating something new, something technical, whether it is some AR things, some AI things, whether it is actually some mechanical stuff, I don't really know, then I think it's going to work out better than doing something like that. Even though, of course, you can also have an apparel company that is quite new and is doing something new that nobody else is doing. But I still think there are way too many apparel companies, so that it would kind of work out, I guess. Well, yeah, anyway. With the rise of industrialization, there are fewer and fewer craftsmen. One of the biggest remaining groups is computer programmers. Yes, kind of. But I do think that this is going to be really important in the future. And I do think being able to program is also going to be a pretty huge deal in the future. Because if you can do that, then you can actually make the things for the future, maybe. So I'm thinking about it in terms of creating, basically creating the software for the future things that are gonna come up, for the future hardware. Because I do more or less hope, actually. I do more or less hope that there's gonna be something new, something pretty cool. I am indeed looking forward to my flying cars, but I don't know if I'm gonna get to that. But of course, as we've seen in the past months, maybe I think even in the past year, as far as I can remember, we are having folding phones right now, which is something pretty new. And this is something that I think about, that programmers can really do something for these new things, and obviously also for the things that we're already having. There's always going to be new possibilities, and I just have to think about Google, what they've been able to just do with their cameras, in terms of the whole processing that they're doing for background blur and zooming and all those stuff or things. This is incredible, and this is only done by software, I guess. And of course that you just also have to have certain hardware to access this capabilities. But yeah, I think it is insane. Wealth can be created without being sold. Scientists, till recently at least, efficiently donated the wealth they created. Did they really do that? Is it in terms of finding something and then giving it to the world? I mean, you could think about it in that way, because you're creating something, what it is. It's not a recipe, but maybe a vaccine, I think it is called, I guess. Not quite sure. And you're giving it to the world. Is this then you just donated your wealth? Can you actually say that this is your wealth if you have just found something? I don't know. This is I think this really comes up to definitions, I would say, kind of. Someone who really devoted himself to work could generate 10 or even 100 times as much wealth as an average employee. Someone who really devoted himself to work, something to keep in mind. A programmer, for example, instead of chugging along maintaining and updating an existing piece of software, could write a whole new piece of software and with it create a new source of revenue. Companies are not set up to reward people who want to do this. Actually, kind of, yeah. Another generalization. I've been, I think, talking about it in the last episode. So I'm not a big fan of generalizing things, because no, not necessarily. But yeah, I don't know, because I haven't been working in so many corporate jobs. So I think I shouldn't tell, and I think I shouldn't also say, I guess, or something. Quite. I can actually make it bigger. So I'm also going to do that. A company that could pay all employees so straightforwardly would be enormously successful. Many employees would work harder if they could get paid for it. More importantly, such a company would attract people who wanted to work especially hard. It would crush its competitors. Unfortunately, companies can't pay everyone like salesmen. Salesmen work alone. Most employees' work is tangled together. Yes, not necessarily groups, but I guess it is some, again, chain reaction, I guess, because I'm doing something and then the other person does something based on what I've done, and so on and so on and so on and so on. A big company is like a giant galley driven by 1,000 rowers. Two things keep the speed of the galley down. One is that individual rowers don't see any result from working harder. The other is that in a group of 1,000 people, the average rower is likely to be pretty average. Yes, indeed. If you took 10 people at random out of the big galley and put them in a boat by themselves, they could probably go faster. When you take the 10 best rowers out of the big galley and put them into a boat together, they will have all the extra motivation that comes from being in a small group. But more importantly, by selecting that small a group, you can get the best rowers. Each one will be their top 1%. It is a much better deal for them to average their work together with a small group of their peers than to average it with everyone. Quite, yeah, indeed. That's the real point of startups. Ideally, you're getting together with a group of other people who also want to work a lot harder and get paid a lot more than they would in a big company. I think that's actually a pretty cool idea. And it also makes sense, I would say. Yeah. But I don't know what this is. If you scale things, then I guess this is just... I think you can only apply this to startups, I guess. Because I don't really know. And I'm... Just to tell you something, I'm purposefully looking out of the window because I've been looking into my fucking screen for quite some time today. And I've also noticed that my eyes are getting pretty shit. And looking out of the window and just basically refocusing or letting your eyes refocus into the distance is something that's pretty good for your eyes. And also, you can also consciously notice that. So I think it is a good idea to just look around sometimes and yeah. McDonald's, for example, grew big by designing a system, the McDonald's franchise, that could then be reproduced at will all over the face of the world, or Earth. A McDonald's franchise is controlled by rules so precise that it is practically a piece of software. Right ones run everywhere. Ditto for Walmart. Sam Walton got rich not by buying a retailer, but by designing a new kind of store. And I actually also have to say, franchising things does make sense. It really does, because you're having a concept that is hopefully working, and people are interested in investing into this concept. And therefore, they're just then going to be like a store owner, if it is a store, if you want to call it a store as well, or something else, whatever the franchise might be. But is Starbucks also then a franchise? I don't know. So I do think that it makes sense. This is what I have to say. Kind of. Even though, on the other hand, since there has been some things that actually might have harmed Burger King, because at least in Austria there have been I think 2 of them, and they had to be closed down. And initially a lot of people said, and I think it has also been in the media, or it was in media, that it was due to just some gross shit, some health reasons or something like that. And of course, if you're having a franchise and this is happening to one of your stores or one of your no, it's not franchises then, or isn't it? Just to your stores, then I don't know if this is then going to be so good for your name, just as a whole thing. Quite, even though you're not operating this. Even though you as a company, it is just not what the fuck you're doing. It is basically what the owner of the store does, or the owner of the franchise contract, basically. But I think it is actually a good system. I think it makes sense. If you can develop technology that is simply too hard for competitors to duplicate, you don't need to rely on other defenses. Start by picking a hard problem, and then at the very decision point, take the harder choice. I think it makes sense. I think it indeed makes sense. I think it is a good idea to get bored if you can. Running businesses is different from growing one. It is just as well to let a big company take over once you reach cruising altitude. It is also financially wiser because selling allows you to diversify. Yeah, I mean, of course, you can also then just start another startup if you want to. But, I also can feel with the people that say, like, okay, I do not want to sell my company. Even if I can, is it actually then kind of always the case that you keep the original founders or the current CEO of the startup, which is most often, I'd say, the founder? Do you do this? Or do people do this? Because I don't know. I actually assume, because I mean, it would make sense. Kind of. If you've been able to just grow a company to a certain degree or to a certain level, then why not? On the other hand, it might just be a possibility. And if you're the owner and you're like, okay, I don't give a fuck, I just don't want to have this company anymore, then you're just gonna do something different, I guess. I assume, But I don't know. As so often. Treat a startup as an optimization problem in which performance is measured by a number of users. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, I see. I just thought, like, isn't this always the case with every company that you might be having? But no, it is not. Because most often it's measured by the money that you're making, the profits that you're making, the revenue that you're making, and not necessarily by how many users or how many customers you're having or how many people are just buying your service, buying your products, how many clients you're having, and whatnot. But I think it just really makes sense in this scenario. Don't let a ruling class of warriors and politicians squash the entrepreneurs. The same recipe that makes individuals rich because rich makes countries powerful. Let the nerds keep their lunch money and you rule the world. Sounds good. I don't know what this is referred to or just to whom it is referred to. Like, I don't think that this is just supposed to just be for me or for the reader in general. But yeah, it was not till the Industrial Revolution that wealth creation definitely replaced corruption as the best way to get rich. Well, in England at least, corruption only became unfashionable and in fact only started to be called corruption when there started to be other, faster ways to get rich. I think it actually makes sense, but it is so strange, to just view it as a point of, or from this point, because, like, just corruption is something that we know about, and so it is strange. Variation in income is a sign of health. Technology seems to increase the variation in productivity at faster than linear rates. If we don't see corresponding variation in income, there are three possible explanations. A, that technical innovation has stopped. B, that the people who would create the most wealth aren't doing it. Or C, that they aren't getting paid for it. Well. Technical innovation has stopped, which is never ever good. It reminds me on the, or off, is it on or off? I don't know. The big business cycle, I think it is called in English. I don't quite know, but I also don't know the German one or the name of the person that found it, basically. Well, yeah, anyway. Yeah, let's actually finish up with this one today. If you can imagine someone surpassing you, you should do it yourself. I see. A building or object should let us use it as you want. A good building, for example, will serve as a backdrop for whatever life people want to lead in it, instead of making them live as if they were executed a program written by the architect. I don't know, like, if I'd be an architect, I would say, like, this is where the kitchen should be, this is where this should be, and this is where whatever should be. And then they have to deal with it. Like, I would do it in that way, at least. If function is hard enough, if function is hard enough, form is forced to follow it, because there is no effort to spare for error. Wild animals are beautiful because they have hard lives. If function is hard enough, form is forced to follow it. Function is hard. I just know that, I know it is a saying that form follows function, which means that if you have a cool product but it is not working, then it is a shitty product. It's not a cool product, even if it looks good, even though it's just well designed. But it should be designed in a way that you should actually kind of underline the functionality, and that maybe, I mean, like the design of a product is just such a huge thing, actually, because it determines how you're using it, how good it actually in the end is, because I don't know, if you can't fucking use it and if it is not working, then it is a fucking shitty product. So yeah, it's important. A novice imitates without knowing it. Next, he tries consciously to be original. Finally, he decides it is more important to be right than original. Today's experimental error is tomorrow's new theory. If you want to discover great new things, then instead of turning a blind eye to the places where conventional wisdom and truth don't quite meet, you should pay particular attention to them. It is easier to see ugliness than to imagine beauty. Most of the people who have made beautiful things seem to have done it by fixing something they thought ugly. Yeah, maybe this is just a process, that you're gonna go through all these stages of, okay, it is shit, and I hate it, and then it is quite nice, and then it is actually pretty beautiful and pretty cool. A startup should give its competitors as little information as possible, which would make sense, because they're the competitors. One of the reasons Jane Austen's novels are so good is that she read them out loud to her family. That's why she never sinks into self-indulgently arty descriptions of landscapes or pretentious philosophizing. And this is actually it. This is actually it with this summary. And as well, as always, this one's going to be in a free PDF and you can download it below if I've already uploaded it, because I just tend to not do that immediately. Unfortunately, it's not good. Should be doing it differently, but it is what it is. Well, yeah. Thank you very much. It's been actually a pretty cool ride here and a pretty cool thing, I would say. And I've enjoyed it. I think there have been just some pretty cool things in there. Some pretty relevant ones, of course, as well. And I've enjoyed it. I have truly enjoyed it. Next one's going to be the 4-hour work week. Maybe we're even going to be able to finish up with this one as well. But I don't think so. But I also don't know. I don't know what is going to come up there. And since I can't end the episode, I'm also going to waste some time, quote unquote waste, by doing my hair. Actually, a little tiny bit boring. That they're always in my fucking face and they're too short, especially in the front section of my head to just knot them together. Is this how you say it? I don't know. And well, yeah, anyway. I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself when you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person. And with that being said, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. So, 3 questions I'm happy for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. And with that being said, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time after I've been able to finish it. So yeah, we're going to see. And today is actually a pretty sunny day and a pretty nice day. Therefore, I'm probably also going to ride my bike then. I at least would like to. It depends on how warm it is. Great tasting American peanuts. This is just what I'm seeing here. I'm having some peanuts here. Or Erdnüsse, as they're called in German, actually. Great tasting American peanuts, American quality. And they are from Herkunft or origin USA. Well, I would actually like to just know where exactly they were from or they are from. But I don't know, I can't tell. Can't say. Maybe if I just Google it. But I don't know, it is just such a, some cheap thing here, and yeah. Therefore I think I don't know. And it is 400 grams, which is quite good. The cheapest peanuts actually that I've seen are 400 grams for $2 or €2. I think 1.99, or no, not even 1.59 or something. Actually really cheap for what they can do. Of course there's some, I don't know if you can show you. There's just a massive amount of shells next to me, but I mean they don't look just high quality. This is what you clearly can say. Some of them are dirty. You can't eat the shell, which you kind of can if you want to, actually. But yeah, you know, they're not the most beautiful ones. But I think they also shouldn't. So yeah. But I mean, like, protein, good fats, low carb, actually relatively high in sugar, as I just see. 4.2 grams per 100 gram, which is, quite something. And I also actually have to say, like, if you're just buying peanuts with the shell, then at least half of it is gonna be the shell itself. So we always have to think about that, Well, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna see you the next time. I at least hope so. Bye bye. Thank you.